Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We've got a massive, honestly fascinating topic lined up for you today, the rise of India and modern strategic competition. In this presentation, we aren't just looking at, static lines on a map. We are unpacking the actual mechanics of modern geopolitics and invisible warfare. We're basing our analysis today on an incredibly fascinating framework from our sources that explores how nations actually interact in the 21st century. Because let's face it, we are moving way away from direct physical confrontations and stepping into the shadows of digital and economic maneuvering. It's a dramatic, urgent shift in how the whole world operates, and getting a grip on it is absolutely crucial for anyone keeping an eye on global affairs.
Which brings us right to our big, central question. Are global powers worried about India's rise? It's a provocative thought, right? But we are framing this entirely objectively. Our source material makes a very specific point to steer clear of unproven conspiracies or dramatic claims of, say, unified regime change plots. Instead, we are looking at documented, observable global strategic competition. Think about massive supply chain realignments, the intense race for critical minerals, and shifting trade alliances. When a country grows as rapidly and as massively as India is right now, it naturally alters the entire geopolitical center of gravity. And that, by definition, forces other global powers to react, adapt, and compete on a massive scale.
All right, let's dive into Section 1, India's growing global influence.
To truly understand the global reaction, we first kind of need to look at the catalyst. The foundation of this new global standing is built on some absolutely undeniable pillars of growth. We are talking about a rapidly expanding economy, clearly reflected in the surging Mumbai Stock Exchange. Then there's the massive infrastructure of Digital India. I mean, to put that into perspective for a second, India now processes billions, yes, billions of real-time digital transactions every single month. That outpaces many developed nations combined. We also see advancing military strength and a globally recognized space program that is hitting historic milestones. Landing on the lunar South Pole on a fraction of the budget of its competitors, that's no small feat. And underlying all of this, the whole shebang, is an incredible demographic dividend, meaning there's a massive, young, working-age population driving innovation. This isn't just incremental progress, it's a structural transformation on an epic scale, and it's fundamentally reshaping how the world views the subcontinent.
Moving right along to Section 2, Geopolitical Concerns and Competition.
Now, a rise of this sheer magnitude, it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. With monumental momentum, naturally comes strategic pushback from other major players on the world map, places like China, Pakistan, and the United States. As our source points out, we are analyzing documented strategic competition here, not baseless theories. Geopolitical pressure today is increasingly applied through invisible channels, rather than direct kinetic conflict. And by kinetic, I mean actual, physical warfare. The days of simply measuring a country's threat level by, counting its tanks or watching border skirmishes, well, those days are pretty much over. Influence operates differently now. It's subtle. It's pervasive. For example, a foreign state might covertly fund a network of seemingly independent think tanks, or even social media influencers, to slowly shift public opinion on a key infrastructure project. It happens right in front of us, without us even realizing it's going on.
Which leads us to Section 3, the invisible battlefield.
We are so used to history books, to finding threats through traditional means. We think of border tensions, high-stakes diplomatic meetings, physical trade wars. But the modern reality operates entirely differently. It's like a whole different ballgame. We are now looking at cyber warfare, highly coordinated media propaganda, and incredibly sophisticated social media influence campaigns. These digital threats operate remarkably effectively right below the radar. We're talking about state-sponsored hackers quietly probing critical infrastructure. We're talking about fake news animations spreading like wildfire on our smartphones, and foreign influence operations meticulously designed to paralyze decision-making and shape public opinion, all without ever firing a single shot.
So the absolutely crucial point we need to ask is this: how are nations destabilized through economic pressure and information warfare? Because, make no mistake, this isn't just theoretical wargaming. This invisible pressure has real, physical, and sometimes devastating consequences for the people living in those targeted nations. It acts as a deadly bridge, connecting abstract digital threats to actual, uncontrollable chaos in the streets.
Let's ground this in reality with Section 4, Crises in Neighboring Countries.
To understand exactly what that chaos looks like, we really don't have to look far. We can impartially review the severe nature of recent events in nations like Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. In a very short time frame, we've seen immense instability right on India's doorstep.
We are talking about massive street protests, paralyzing economic crises, intense stock market fluctuations, and unprecedented political upheaval. Our sources highlight these exact scenarios to show how a complex mix of economic vulnerability and weaponized information can literally shatter a country. For instance, in some of these regions, artificially amplified social media rumors about imminent foreign exchange shortages caused actual bank runs. It took a fragile economic situation and turned it into an immediate, cascading national crisis overnight.
Which naturally prompts us to ask, what lessons can India learn from these regional warnings? Pivoting from the grim reality of that regional instability, we have to look inward. How does a massive, diverse, and rapidly growing nation protect itself when the modern battlefield is completely invisible and the primary weapons are economic pressure and fake news?
And that brings us to Section 5, the ultimate shield, democracy and aware citizens.
This is honestly the most inspiring and critical part of our explainer. When we zoom back in to examine India's domestic defense mechanisms, we see that these defenses are heavily layered. At the institutional level, you have massive, built-in resilience. You've got the stabilizing force of democratic strength, the sheer momentum of consistent economic development, and a highly robust national security apparatus. But, and this is a big but, the foundation supporting all of this isn't a government agency, it isn't a specialized military branch. The final, most vital layer of defense is the highly aware citizen.
Our sources point to this one absolutely undeniable conclusion. The highly aware citizen is the ultimate defense against foreign manipulation and fake news. This right here is the core takeaway of our entire presentation. In an era where algorithms rapidly push propaganda and foreign actors try to sway public opinion straight through the glowing screens in our hands, institutional defenses are only half the battle. The true strength lies in the Indian citizen's ability to see through the noise, to recognize when they are being manipulated by outside forces, and to completely, unequivocally reject fake narratives. That level of critical thinking, that is a nation's strongest, most impenetrable shield.
So, I want to leave you with this lingering thought to chew on. In an era of invisible warfare, how critically do you analyze the media you consume? The geopolitical landscape is shifting constantly, and the fiercest competition is happening right on the devices in our pockets. Being an aware, critically thinking citizen isn't just about personal knowledge anymore, it is a vital, non-negotiable component of national security. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, definitely keep verifying what you read, and always stay curious. Catch you next time.